Hey, good morning. I figured today I could do a video that is um, within the context of like positivity, which is not my strong suit, by the way. I'm not a very positive person in general. I'm rather anxious and quite maniac. But in the whole idea of trying to be positive and open to the universe and show gratefulness and stuff, in the hopes that we get a house in return. So this is absolutely not, how do you say? Yeah, I am expecting to get something back for it. So I decided to make a video about 10 things that I'm very grateful for, that I enjoyed while living in the Netherlands the past years as an expat, and specifically also as a parent and an expat here. I've made this very professional handy list in a paper where my daughter has drawn like a very cute, if I may say so myself, hedgehog. So um, the order here is completely random, but I think I will just roll with it, or maybe make it a bit more chronological. I will try and make it more chronological. So I came here in the Netherlands in 2010, and I came here because Nikos. Oh no, sorry, I'm not supposed to say that. Not because Nikos was here, though that was not the reason. To study, to study. I came here to do my master's degree. Nikos had come here the year before, but I came here to do my master's degree at TU Delft, the Technical University in Delft, master's in architecture. And one of the items on my list is that in the Netherlands, I saw that actually an architecture campus specifically does not have to be a huge mess of cardboards and models and things laying around and drawings and papers. It can actually be very neatly organized. Everything could have their own place, and creativity can be a lame excuse to just live in a campus that is a complete mess, because we are also creative here and we can't bother, to put our stuff in order. Um, that was a really nice and refreshing change from my campus in Greece, in which, by the way, I had amazing student years. I really loved it, but I thought this is how it's supposed to be. And it's almost kind of cool to study in a place that is full of coffee stains and cigarette butts. And just paper lying all around, and plotters that one day they work and the other they don't. It was almost like quirky and charming, um, but then not. So it was really nice to see that you can actually have a campus that shows that it shows that students there respect themselves and they respect their environment. And I highly recommend, if you ever visit the Netherlands, if you ever visit the city of Delft, to go and visit the architecture campus, the university campus in general. It is a very nice place, very well designed, very nice, well kept. Um, so yeah, it did show me that actually no, you're not very creative when you live in a mess, when you study in a mess, and it does actually save you lots of time to know where everything is, your supplies, and it just leaves more space in your head to actually think. Small note, I am not talking necessarily about the quality of education and the substantial knowledge that you get, because there I do have some doubts, and I do feel that actually my architecture studies in the Netherlands were significantly more superficial than my studies in Greece. I know this will piss off quite a few people, but that is my feeling, and I have completed both studies, so I do have an insider's opinion about both. It would just be so great if those two philosophies could learn from each other. If Greece had those great, neat, clean campuses, and if the Netherlands could go a bit deeper instead of just trying to sell everything. But yeah, campus, wonderful, student life, really, really good, really, really well organized. So I really, really appreciate that I had the experience of seeing how things could actually be, even back in Greece. And I hope that with more and more people studying abroad, and then maybe hopefully that Greece gets some brain gain, as they call it again, and people go back to Greece, they do try and change the the quality of studies and campuses. And again, I'm not talking necessarily about the like the substance of the studies, but more what we tolerate as campus buildings and their state. So that's one. Of course, what I will wait a minute. I have to cross it off my list, so I know I talked about it because my head is all over the place. Where is it? Here, yes. That was number 4 on my list, but that's number 1 here. Um, Obviously, what I'm very, very grateful for is the fact that the cities are clean. They are very well maintained. You have like the city gardeners going around every season making sure, that all parks are clean and neat, and trees that are dead or sick are being cut down and replaced by other greenery. You can see that people really respect their environment, that no one is going to throw trash on the street. It is just, you can just see that there is a lot of culture and civilization in the sense of taking care of the environment, of the public space as well, which is, it is quite interesting because the Netherlands is quite an individualistic country, and yet people will together, like collectively, with each one taking responsibility, they are creating in the end a very nice public environment for everyone to enjoy. So that is a quite interesting thing, that by taking personal responsibility, public space tends to be nicer for everyone, even if personal relationships often remain on a more superficial level. But yeah, it is just the quality of life you enjoy while walking in a Dutch city, and I've lived in a few of them. It just makes your day. It is just very, very enjoyable. So this is definitely something that Mediterranean countries could learn from. And I know that the new generation of people are really trying to teach their kids and practice it themselves to respect their environment, and just not throw your trash on the pavement because others have done it. And that kind of simple stuff that makes a big difference. The other thing I really enjoy is that Dutch cities are actually very, very bike and pedestrian friendly. I'm sure you've heard about the biking thing before, even though I'm not a biker myself, because I would be dangerous for myself and others. But still, the fact that you have so many bikes makes it even more friendly for pedestrians because you have significantly less cars anyway. And it is very clear where the bikes should move. So you do have actually assigned bike lanes almost everywhere. And it is really nice, especially because like pavements and streets are very well maintained. It is very easy as a parent to move around with a stroller. I've gone in the years that I live here. I've also visited like other cities. I visited Paris as a mom with a stroller, and I saw the dark side of the city. Really, I've been there before without babies, and it was just amazing. And I went with a stroller there. I was like, what is this mess? Same with Greece, obviously, my own, like my homeland, like Athens, my home city, and Nikos' city as well. It's a mess. You can't move with a stroller. It's really impossible. I don't even know how people with special needs do it. I'm sure they're really suffering, and they're very restricted to where they can go, the places they can visit. So the Netherlands is also very, very accessible for people in wheelchairs, for example. That's really nice to see in a country. It's really nice to see that it is actually possible with a minimal effort. Well, no, I shouldn't say minimal effort, because these guys here, they really plan and take care of everything that is ruined. If on the pavement you have a broken piece, it is fixed within a day, within 24 hours. So have huge respect for that here, like maintaining and good construction. So another thing I really, really appreciate is the how easily you can actually access nature in the Netherlands. Thing is, you do not actually have wild nature, in the sense that because of how the country developed, you do have, and because there is also, it is heavily based on agriculture as well. You do not really have the old wild forests. You do have some natural reserves. They were planted later on. You can actually see it. You can see that it is a bit designed nature, but this doesn't reduce the fact, like it doesn't reduce the value of the fact that the Dutch are actually very serious about protecting their nature, and especially birds. I have been a member of the bird protection society, like Vogelbescherming in Dutch. For years, they have a wonderful magazine. You can learn a lot about birds. and they are trying to protect the nature they do actually have, like the dunes, and then of course the northern sea and the forests that they have planted and are now like growing. And there is public transport in every single one of those places. We've lived here all those years without a car and with three kids, and actually the connections are so good that you can just reach nature without a car, without any problem. Um, and there are a few different types of nature. Like you do have, even though you don't have mountains, and I do miss that a lot, and you do notice that there is nature is quite similar, but still we have to take into consideration that it is also a very small country geographically speaking. It is not that spread, so it does make sense. And like I said, still you do have the dunes, you do have the sea, you do have lakes, you do have a few rivers. So there are definitely many nature reserves to explore, even though they're not so wild. So that's that. And that takes me to my next point. I have no idea what number I am with, but I will number in the description. I really suck at this. But the next one is really the accessibility with public transport. Because it is a small country, you can very easily cross it, and you can do that with public transport, like I said. They do have a system that many people hate, but it is very convenient, especially if you're traveling with kids. And that is that you can actually, with your bank card, you can just check in and out of buses and trains, so you do not need paper tickets anymore anywhere. I did appreciate that now that we visited Germany, and I saw the huge contrast. Like, the system here is very, very simplified. And yes, it is true that you do not have an exact control of how much you are being charged. You could go online and check. No one really does it. So it could be that we're overcharged at some point. But the thing is, it is convenient. It is simple. It is convenient. You do have public connections everywhere, very frequent, very reliable as well. Like, you do know if the train is 2 minutes late, you will see it displayed. If there's a cancellation, if there are works happening on the rails, you will know in advance. So yeah, public transport is expensive, but it is also very, very high quality, and it can take you everywhere. And then we go more to the period of our lives that we actually had kids, which starts, of course, with the whole pregnancy, birth, postpartum care in the Netherlands. That is fantastic. Fantastic. Really, this is the thing I'm most grateful for. If I had to choose one thing, that is, like, it would be a tie between how they do birth and the free Waldorf education. But let's go to birth first. They don't treat pregnancy as a sickness. They let you live your life normally. They do all the necessary controls, but minimal ones, without extra unnecessary ones. You are not being charged about anything. Home birth is quite popular here. You don't have to fight for it. They will actually ask you if you want a home birth, that like it's the most normal thing in the world. This is not the case in many, many European countries. Definitely not Greece. Absolutely not. In Greece, if you want a home birth, you have to fight. You have to keep it a secret from your family because everyone will have opinions. You have to find a doctor that is willing to sign for that to happen. You have to hire a special team of midwives to do that. It will cost you a lot as well. And here it is just so easy, so accessible. Midwives really have experiences of natural births and home births, so you don't have to worry if the midwife will know what they have been doing. The rates of home birth are actually reducing here, and that the reason is that there is, I'm sorry, there is a fight between doctors and midwives. I really, really hope midwives win, because my two home births were the most empowering experiences of my life by far. By far. Like, really, it doesn't compare to any of my studies, degrees, anything I've achieved, like, academically. And these were hard things to achieve, right? Like, I'm not trying to minimize. Like, it wasn't easy to get, like, the degrees, like the architecture degrees. I thought that was the most difficult thing I did back then. I was very proud of it. But then home birth, so empowering if it goes well. And it does go well, like, in 90% of the cases. Also, with my first child, I had a hospital birth. without pain relief again, and that was my choice, and they really really respected my birth plan. I had a birth plan, it got respected, and I loved it. It was good I was at the hospital because like Lulu was coming like looking up. They call it a sterrekijker, so someone who is stargazing in Dutch. And there had to be intervention by the gynecologist actually, so I could avoid the C-section, and I did. So um, even though it would be much easier for them, much faster, much more efficient to just roll me in for a C-section, because I was so adamant I didn't want one, they did their best to give me the chance. Um, so it was really cool. And the aftercare that they have, it's called Kramzor. So there is this lady who is coming every day for a week at your place if you have no complications. If you have complications, I think it's even more. It could be even up to 2 weeks or 10 days, something like that. And they check mama, they check baby, they help with breastfeeding, and they do also shopping if you need. They entertain all their kids if you have them. And they will clean bathroom and kitchen for hygiene reasons. So you can have a shower and you're not worried that your shower is not clean enough and someone could get an infection and stuff. Awesome, wonderful. Like I have nothing negative to say about the pregnancy and birth care in the Netherlands. I really wish more countries would copy them. So yeah, huge fan. Now, Waldorf schools. Obviously, like I've made a whole video about it, like more videos. I have a whole playlist about Waldorf education on here on the channel. But yeah, it's not just the Waldorf schools that are free, that it's the only country in Europe that you have that actually. They're not really free, but they're subsidized, which means that as a parent you don't have the costs. And also the flexibility in education. And also in your career. So I mentioned before I studied architecture, but I could very easily work as a writer and illustrator and register as a freelancer, and that was very easy. Nikos as well, he studied civil engineering, studied a PhD in that, later stopped with it, got trained as a programmer, and then he used that career path, and no one ever said, do you have a degree for that? Like, if you can do it well enough and people are happy with your quality, with what you offer, then you're free to pursue the career that you want. And at school as well, you can start one type of study. If it doesn't suit you, you can easily follow a different path. Absolutely not the case in Greece. I don't know how flexible other countries are with career changes and changes in education on high school level or even higher levels. So that is something I really, really appreciate. And also, again, like with the campuses, the quality of the school buildings, how well maintained they are, how clean they are. It is, I just admire it and appreciate it. And I'm very, very happy that my kids grew up here until now in that environment, instead of the school buildings that I grew up in with always dirty desks. And it was totally normal that all of us would just draw on our desks with our pencils and no one would bat an eyelid. Or that we just had concrete on the schoolyard and no green, like minimal trees, and yeah, no insulation, too hot in summer in Greece, too cold in winter. So yeah, Greece could definitely use an update there, and I know there's no money and I know there are bigger issues, but I'm just saying I'm grateful too that my kids have spent their school years here up to now. Let's see what else it's left on my list. Oh yeah, of course, child-friendly cafes, restaurants, libraries, buildings. Like you do have a child corner almost everywhere. And you can see parents take their kids with them everywhere. Wherever you go, restaurants, cafes, everything. There will be child seats in Greece. Every time I come, I have to ask, do you have a child seat? And if they do have, it is somewhere buried under something and they have to go get it for me. It is not so in more touristic places. They do have the child seat, but that's kind of where it ends. Children's menus. The children's section in libraries is always like super cool, with cushions that the kids can sit on, accessible shelves where the kids can go get their books from easily. Library card, obviously free for children up until the age of 18. So absolutely a child-friendly country, and there is no wonder that actually Dutch children are consistently in the first three places in all those indexes with the happiest kids in the world. There are more reasons for that. That are not necessarily positive, but anyway, that's a topic for another video. But it is a country that is actually designed to cater to children and parents of young children as well. So that is also something I'm very grateful for, that I could raise my kids here. Those first years, the first years of parenthood that are actually very, very intense anyhow. Then we have number 9, I believe. Now I know the numbering because I'm almost at the end. Museums. I think that the Netherlands is the European country with the most museums, and they are very, very high quality. The vast majority of them are. There is this great thing called the museum card. You buy it once a year. I think it's around 65 euros for adults and 30, 40 something for kids from the age of 4 and up. Many museums are free for kids up until the age of 18, others from the age of 12. But with a museum card, you can go to all museums in the Netherlands. It is absolutely worth the money because you have some bigger technological museums, for example, that the entrance would be 10, 12 euros. So, if you visit them like 2, 3 times, you've already like kind of made it up for the cost of the museum card. Museums are also child friendly. Most of them have interactive parts that the kids can engage with, or they have treasure hunts, or they have workshops. So great country for kids to get acquainted with art and biology and chemistry and other cultures, and they have museums for all sorts of topics. And it is just very, very impressive how they've made sure to engage kids in museums as well. And I have many museums that I can't really choose my favorite. I'm a bit sick and tired of Nemo, which is the technological museum, science and technological museum for kids in Amsterdam, because we've gone so many times because the kids love it. It's a great museum. I don't want to go there ever again. Just a hint, if you're visiting the Netherlands, do not go on museums on Saturdays or Sundays and not during school holidays. So do try, museums are closed on Mondays, do try an off day like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that they are not going to be so busy. And it's a good idea to go early in the morning or check in advance. And the reason that they're so full during those periods is because exactly they are organizing workshops to attract kids, which is great. But just so you know, as a visitor, especially as a tourist, that you won't have the chance to go again and again, it is worth checking a day that it's a more off. And last but not least, and that is also a bit of a backhanded compliment, there is tolerance. There is lots of tolerance for other cultures, for minorities, for when it comes also to people with how do I put it without really offending anyone? Okay, I'll just be straight. Like, I will just use the Dutch directness here. There is tolerance, but there isn't true acceptance in a big part of the population. Yes, in bigger cities, and especially Rotterdam, that is much more mixed when it comes to different cultures. It is the case that you do have real acceptance as well in some places, but mostly it is tolerance. So people are very politically correct. They are not going to judge your culture, your religion, your sexual orientation, your whatever. But if you speak Dutch, it has many benefits to speak Dutch, but you will soon realize that that is a bit of the surface and it's not true acceptance. But tolerance is important because there are many, many countries in Europe where you do not even have the tolerance. So I'm not underestimating that. And I am appreciating that, and I am grateful. And I am grateful that my kids also get taught at school that you have to accept everyone, and that you have to be open to everyone and respect other people's opinions and respect other people's cultural background. So that's really, really cool to learn, even if for the older generation has not landed yet and probably never will, and there is some sort of resistance. But the Dutch are really working in that sector to be more inclusive and to really be substantially accepting. There's some way to go, but the notion is there, the intentions are there. Like the whole of Europe, you do notice, of course, that horrific turn to the right or the extreme right that comes out of ignorance and fear. But at least schools are trying. I see that schools are trying, and I think that's very important because that shapes the next generation. So I think that was my top 10. If you're considering moving to the Netherlands or visiting the Netherlands as a tourist, and especially as a parent with kids or young kids, I hope you found this helpful. I am guessing probably a list with the things that made us decide to move from here will follow at some point, but I am trying to find the right wording to make it not make it too emotional, but make it more fact-based, though it will, of course, be subjective. And that's okay. I mean, it's my channel and it's my personal experience. But I want to make sure to think things through for that one. While I'm always open to giving like an extra compliment, I don't mind, you know. So that was that for today. Hope you have a great day. Keep keeping your fingers crossed. We have no house yet in Germany, so thank you for that, for the finger crossing, and see you again soon. Have a lovely day. Bye.